Good morning. Welcome to Columbia and to the Gans Creek Cross Country course. We're glad you're here for these two races today. It's the Mizzou Cross Country Opener. A special welcome to our Southeastern Conference schools, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. We're about 15 minutes away from the start of the 6,000-meter race that'll feature the men at 8:30, 9 o'clock scheduled start time for the women's 5,000-meter. So again, welcome. We're glad you're here. We'll be underway in about 15 minutes with our first race at the Mizzou Cross Country Opener at Gans Creek. And that's the firing of the gun to indicate we're 10 minutes away from the start of our first race today, which will be the men's race in the Mizzou Opener. And before we go any further, we would like to pause our activities. The flag is flying just to the side of the finish line. And if you would at this time, we will pause and celebrate the freedoms that we have in this country and recognize the sacrifices that have led to our treasured freedoms with the playing of our national anthem. And we thank you for pausing for that. And we're again within 10 minutes away from the start of our men's race. And again, all SEC teams, they are here to get a taste of this course prior to the SEC conference meet, which is scheduled at this same course on October 29th. Appreciate the visits. Know that a lot of team and the members got a chance to practice on the course yesterday, and so some are going to be practicing again maybe today, and we'll see how the team's strategies play out as we get ready to go in at 8:30 for 2 laps of the course. This course has a 3K and a 2K loop. A lot of options to mix in different distances, and so today the organizers are going with the 6,000 meters for the men, so they'll be running 2 laps of the 3K loop, and then the women will come with the 5,000 meter schedule to start at 9. They'll be running the short 2K loop and then the longer 3K loop in their race. This is the 3rd year of the Gans Creek cross country course, a place that's hosted the state championships for Missouri in all their classes over the last 2 years. And many of you have been here, at least the schools have been here in the past for the Gans Creek Classic, which is going to be coming up later on this month. We'll have an opportunity to, or actually it's a month from now, early October, will be the Gans Creek Classic. It'll be the 3rd year for that, and that will be scheduled for a Friday early in October. Schools that are here again, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, as well as the host school, Missouri. Coming into this week, the opening weekend for most of the schools when it comes to cross country. The preseason poll picked Arkansas as number 6 on both the men's and the women's side. Ole Miss, another one of the SEC teams, they're ranked in the weekly rankings. The first one's posted by the United States Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association. Ole Miss coming in on the men's side at number 18. 2 other schools on the women's side ranked in that preseason poll: Alabama number 7, Ole Miss number 15. Let's talk about how the conference meet went a year ago. It was a run in Baton Rouge on the SEC conference meet. Men's Arkansas, the championship team a year ago with 35 points. Kentucky finished 5th last year. Missouri was 6th and Vanderbilt 11th. Arkansas in the preseason coaches poll picked to win the men's side again. The rest of these schools that are in that poll, Kentucky picked number 4 this year by the coaches. Missouri number 6. Vanderbilt tied for number 11. Arkansas men have 26 titles in the Southeastern Conference. They ran off most of the championships in the 1990s, winning in 91, 92, 93, 95, and then 3 in a row, 98, 99, and 2000. They were the runner-up in 2005, and those are NCAA titles to go along with their 26 titles in the SEC. So multi-time championships in the NCAA. We'll tell you more about the women's pedigrees when we get to the women's race a little bit later on this morning, probably about 30 minutes from now when we'll be talking about them. From the 2020 SEC championship race, of these 4 schools, the top finisher in that SEC championship race of the 4 schools was Kiernan Wood of the University of Missouri. He finished 4th. Arkansas had runners 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th on their way to the championship in the SEC. A year ago, many of these same runners return, however, not necessarily going to be running in the race today. In the NCAA men's championship a year ago, Arkansas finished 4th as a team. They had the 11th place, 38, 40, 57th, and 63rd finishers in that national race. Those of you on your first visit to the Gans Creek cross country course, you're going to find it's very friendly to watching a good portion of this race without having to move very far. You'll be able to see the long run out from the start line, very broad. It narrows down a bit as they head south and a little bit southwest. They'll be making a turn from this area here. You can see where the 1 kilometer gate is, and that is going to be an area that has results there. I think there are speakers there also for those who choose to camp out at that area and watch them pass through. The runners also will get a chance to see the time there. They'll be making the large loop, and so that means as they come around through the first kilometer, then what they'll do is they'll be circling around a pond, and then they'll make the big loop, which is the farthest to the east that we have on this course. We'll see them come by at the 3K mark and then make another loop of the same route when they go for their second loop in the men's race. Here are the box assignments. The men will line up this way. Arkansas will be in boxes 18 through 20. Kentucky can use boxes 22 through 24. Missouri in 14 through 16. Vanderbilt 10 through 12. Again, right now we're holding off on talking too much about the field individually because we'll wait for the race to start. Again, the coaches have up until just a few moments ago to make a choice as to who will be running. Again, many are using this as an opportunity to get very familiar with the course that'll be the SEC Championship course in late October. And away they go on their first of 2 laps in the 3K portion of this Gans Creek. Appreciate those of you who are here to cheer on the teams. We're glad to have crowds available again here in the 2021 cross-country season. And those of you who are listening to us online, we appreciate you following what we have online also. Again, as we said, lots of entries. Not everybody who was entered is going to be running. Arkansas has a smaller squad. We saw 6 of the Razorbacks, the defending champions in the SEC, and 26 titles to their credit. They're favored again. They are using this as an opportunity for some of their most experienced runners to get the practice yesterday. Not much elevation change on this first run to the first turn. And once they go underneath the banner where they'll register through the first kilometer, we'll have an idea of our leaders and who's in the race, and we'll be able to talk about some of those runners then. And, of course, we'll have the splits. $6K today for the men runners, a $5K for the women runners. The men will be running 8,000 meters when they come back for the conference meet on the final Friday of October. On the Gans course, you make a huge loop as your first turn, and you come back almost making a 270-degree circle there, a big broad circle before you straighten out just a bit and head towards the first 1,000-meter mark. The 1K mark is where the lead gator is just crossed under, so we'll have our first runners underneath the 1,000-meter mark, and it's two of the Arkansas runners who will be leading through 1,000 meters. That's Jace Turner. Turner, who leads through the first. He's a sophomore out of Louisville, Texas. Jace Turner, the first Arkansas runner. His teammate Miles Richter right there with him, another one of their sophomore runners. You'll see Mitchell Small. He's a transfer student who has come to Missouri, and he is running third through the first 1,000 meters. Then another one of the Razorbacks, Josh Shearer, running fourth. Arkansas with places 1, 2, 4, 7, and 8. Their first 5 runners all in the top 8. Missouri with runners in 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10. So the Razorbacks leading through the first 1,000 meters. And now what they'll do is they'll head around the pond, and they'll have another big loop that'll take them again turning towards the part of the course that is the farthest to the east, and they'll be going downhill through a tree line, towards a tree line before they'll make the turn, and their second kilometer will be marked on that turn as they'll start sort of a incline that will bring them up and a couple of more turns away from where they'll finish through their first loop. Thousand-meter split for the leaders. There were 24 of the runners under 3 minutes through the first 1,000 meters. We're showing 42 runners in the race. Those who have previewed this course, and especially those of you who are listening and haven't had a chance to see the Gans course in Columbia, not the steepest hills. These are more gradual declines and inclines. Jace Turner, who was the early leader through the 1,000 meters, he did compete in the SEC championships a year ago. He was the 6th runner on that first place team out of Arkansas, placed 43rd overall. Turner, as we said, running with his teammate Richter out of Louisville, Texas. Richter, experience in the SEC championships in both the 5,000 and the 10,000 meters, 7th in the 10K in the conference championship. He also was 23rd in the SEC championships last year. Through 2,000 meters, the second split of the second kilometer, just under 3 minutes for the leader, Richter and Turner. They still run 1 and 2 with Mitchell Small out of the University of Missouri, also running a sub 3 minute second kilometer. Through the 2,000-meter mark, there are 14 runners under 6 minutes. Arkansas running 1 and 2, then Missouri's Small and his teammate Owen Bishop running 3 and 4, then 2 more of the Razorbacks, Josh Shearer and Carter Person. Angus Beer, William Sinclair, Marquette Wilhite running 7th, 8th, and 9th for Missouri. If you look at the scoring of the top 5 through 2,000 meters, Arkansas 29, Missouri 31, then Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Leaders are coming well within sight of those who are on the bank. There's a wonderful bank that shows this final turns into the run to what will eventually be the finish line. In this case, it'll be the halfway point. Lead runners have a big loop. The crowd here in Columbia watching from that bank and seeing them get ready to make that loop, veering to their right, and we'll see them on the straightaway here in just a few seconds as they'll come down, make a sharp left, and head back for their second lap. Mitchell Small has been the lead runner for Missouri. Transferred for the Tigers, originally from New Zealand. Ran for Northern Arizona, a team that you'll know had that great success in the national cross-country meet this past spring. See some Kentucky runners now also making their bid to move up into the top 10. Kentucky picked to finish 4th in the conference meet ahead of Missouri. Vanderbilt also picked to finish behind the Wildcats. 2 leaders remain the leaders that we've seen through the first half of the race, though. Arkansas's Richter and Turner through the first lap. Gives an opportunity to watch a lot of runners who are running in groups. A couple of the information we had before the race started was that the coaches are going to be putting in packs as they run through this first meet of the season for all 4 of these teams. They haven't had a chance to be on the course for an official race yet. 3,000 meters, Richter, and now it's Josh Shearer. Shearer has moved up to a run with Richter. Turner dropped 9 spots to 11th in that 3rd kilometer. A faster 3rd kilometer for Richter than his previous kilometer. He ran a 2:56.4, and so 3,000 meters at 8:53.4. His teammate Josh Shearer at 8:54.1. Shearer, one of 2 brothers out of Woodland, Texas, the Woodlands Christian Academy. He ran in the SEC championship meet, finished in the top 60 a year ago in Baton Rouge. So through the halfway point of the race, Arkansas with runners in 1st, 2nd, 6th, 11th, and 19th. That would give them 39 as a team score. Missouri not far behind at the halfway point, with Missouri running 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 12th. The Missouri runners, Bishop, Wilhite, Sinclair, Small, and Nicholson. Kentucky has moved into the mix also, though, as the Kentucky runners who have joined in that lead group, and you'll see them in their blue, include Matt Duvall. Duvall was the Southeastern Conference Men's Freshman of the Year with his freshman year for the Wildcats. He was 15th overall and under spot on the freshman all-SEC team with his race in the SEC championship. Also broke the Kentucky record in the indoor 5,000 meters. So Matt Duvall in the 3rd kilometer of this race starting to make his presence known in the top 4. His teammate, a freshman, Ethan Kern. Kern out of Elmhurst, Illinois. He was 18th in the SEC championships and also an all SEC freshman team member. So those two now are running in that group, as you could, if you're watching online and if you're eyeballing this from the course at Gans Creek, you'll see Arkansas, and Kentucky running 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those 4 runners with a bit of a gap over the rest of the field. They have come through the 4,000 meter mark and do so at 11:54.2. Richter, Shearer, Kern, and Duvall. We've talked about all 4 of those in the first half of the race. The faster kilometer of those 4 belonged to Ethan Kern. Kern with a sub 3-minute 4th kilometer. The rest of that group split right at 3 minutes. Duvall also slightly under 3 minutes. So if you look at the standings now at the 4,000 meter mark, you'd see Missouri with places 5, 6, 7, and 8. Wilhite, Sinclair, Small, and Bishop. And then the Missouri 5th runner is Nicholson, another one of the transfers, and he is 13th. He would actually score in the 12 points because there's an unattached runner, another one of the freshman runners running unattached, and he is in 12th. So Missouri would have taken over the lead in the scoring through 4,000 meters with 38, Kentucky 41, Arkansas 46, the running score through 4K. Wilhite out of Warrensburg, Missouri, the top runner through the 4,000 meters for Missouri. He was 29th in the SEC in 2019. Also had a top 40 finish in the Midwest Regional. New leader on the course in the 5K is the Kentucky runner. So Kentucky, for the first time, has a lead. Arkansas had led through the first part of the race. Alternating the blue of Kentucky and the white and red of the Razorbacks. They're completing a slight downhill portion of the race now. And again, this is the area where they are as far away from the start line as you're going to get in this course. This is a big loop right along a tree line, and then they'll start to work their way back up. Kern, a freshman from Kentucky. His teammate Duvall right there in the top 4 also. Richter and Shearer, the runners from Arkansas. Duvall had the top finish for the Wildcats in last year's SEC championship meet with a 15th place finish. 2 of his teammates also finished in the top 25. Last year in Baton Rouge, Kentucky finished 5th in the team standings with 133 points. We already told you Arkansas was the winner. They've gone through 5,000 meters. Kern picked up the pace quite a bit and ran a 2:52 in the 5K, 14:47 through 5,000 meters. He moved up 2 spots in that kilometer. Richter stays in second, the sophomore from Arkansas, then Duvall from Kentucky, then Shearer. Kentucky's Jake Allen has moved into 5th. Then you'll see the 3 Missouri runners, Wilhite, Small, and Sinclair. Kentucky in the 5th kilometer as a team running 1, 3rd, 5th, 9th, and 10th. So they would score 28 through the 5-kilometer mark. We know Vanderbilt has been on this course before. I know the Arkansas women were here a year ago. Missouri obviously has run on this course. This is Kentucky's first visit. not going to be their last, and Kern and Duvall seem to have taken a liking so far to what they feel at the course in the south part of Columbia. One more turn to go, and off that turn you'll see Kern with the lead, Richter running second. The Gator draws them into the finish run. Ethan Kern from Elmhurst, Illinois. Top 20 finisher in the SEC championships a year ago, and he's going to have our first win on the cross-country course collegiately this year with a win at the Mizzou Opener. Kern first, then Richter. Kern's time in the last kilometer right at 2:50. Two out of the top three finishers representing Kentucky. Kern's teammate Matt Duvall third. Richter was second. Shearer fourth. We saw Richter and Shearer and Duvall and Kern dominate in the last half of that race. Marquette Wilhite of Missouri is going to be the top Tiger finisher. He split a 2:50 and a half and moved up a spot in that last kilometer. Jake Allen, the freshman of Kentucky, sixth. Mitchell Small of Missouri, seventh. Kentucky's Andre Balam Godbot finishes eighth. The third Tiger to finish, William Sinclair, will be ninth. Carter Person from Arkansas, 10th. We have an unattached runner that'll finish 11th, so that will not count towards any scores. Then Kentucky with Aaron Withrow and Dylan Allen. So the Wildcats very strong, especially with what they did in the second half of this race. The second lap, kind to the Wildcats. Kentucky finishing first, third, sixth, eighth, and 11th. It scores 29 team points for the Kentucky Wildcats. Missouri with 50 finishers in 5th, 7th, 9th, 13th, and 16th. Arkansas with their top two finishers in 2nd and 4th, and then they'll come across with the 10, 15, and 21 place finishers. Winning time today, 17 minutes, 36.9 seconds. Again, just under 2:50 for the final 1,000 meters by Ethan Kern. And that helped him win by about 6.5 seconds. Second place finisher Miles Richter with a 17:42.5. Top 8 finishers all under 18 minutes. Time is 8:50. Scheduled start time for the women's race is 9. They'll be running a 2K loop and a 3K loop. 5Ks for them today, just over 3 miles. Women's race scheduled to start now in less than 10 minutes, and we'll tell you about their assignments. And like the men's race, we'll get an idea of who's in the field better after a kilometer. But those of you who are here and listening to us on site in Columbia at Gans Creek, and those of you who are listening online, want to introduce somebody who's got connection with the Missouri track and field program. Not necessarily the cross-country program, I don't think, but he also has connections with the Arkansas program, and you'll recognize his voice and his name, John Anderson of ESPN, who's with us today. It's good to see you, and you were out on the course. Is this your first look at Gans Creek?
It is, and my first thought was I could hit a driver down the chute going out of here. Like, it's wide enough not only for 25 teams, but also for my driver. Like, I could hit that, and everybody would be safe. What
do you think of this course, though? I think it's very fan-friendly.
It's terrific. The viewing angles are great. For runners, it's awesome because there's, there's some hurt in here, right, that'll test you. But it's not these gigantic hills that just sap everything. It's kind of, you got to be savvy to work your way around this place. You got to know where the berms are, where the extended hills are. So in terms of if you had to go out and run the 6 or the 8 or the 10K, that certainly, there's a challenge to it. But it's freeing enough that you can put up a really nice time. And then it's just beautiful. The grass and the routing and everything else, it's fantastic. Like, it's worthy of the championships that we'll have here in 2025.
We know that you follow a lot of sports. You have an opportunity to cover a lot of sports. What is your thought about cross country and where it fits in with the running experience and the college experience?
I love it just because it's. Can you say it's the most natural? Like, here it is. It seems to me like even when anybody that I know that started to run track, they started by running in their backyard. Like, even it was from me to you, and we're going to go to that tree, right? And I guess sometimes you did it on your way to school on the street. And road racing, but I feel like that's sort of the most basic and elemental of it. And then depending on where you are, if you're a cross-country runner, obviously it's great. It's for your season. And now I have laid down a base to go on indoor and for outdoor. So the way that for other events, from if you're an 800-meter runner, you can be out here to 10K to put your base together. It's fantastic whether it is your main sport or if it's preparing you for the next 2 seasons that'll come up for these kids later. But I think it's fantastic. I've always loved that part of it.
Before I pick your brain about some of the things you know about the SEC and what might happen nationally, I want to ask you this. As an athlete at the University of Missouri, you were a field eventer. You did high jump. Did you ever run a cross-country course when you were at Mizzou?
Yeah. I mean, we ran at A.L. Guston all the time, and the hills of those are terrible. And I don't know how, for a guy that had to run at tops 12 steps for his event, right? The high jump is the shortest and the fastest event in track and field. We spent hours on A.L. Guston golf course. So this place is great. Compared to the hills of Guston, I'll take this in that long par 5 on the back that we had to run countless times. This is a dream, so we had to. But I ran it in high school, and I really loved it. Still, I was telling you, one of my favorite teams of all time, 55 years now, whether it's covering them, was the high school cross-country team that I was a part of. That was great. I don't know if it was the shared suffering or what it was, but still, some of those guys, and I still am in contact with, are some of my favorite people in the world.
We exchanged messages yesterday, and I'm really impressed with how well you know the SEC cross-country scene. Part of that is because you have an inside connection. Yeah. Today, you can't make a decision as to what's going to happen. I mean, Arkansas is picked to finish very high nationally. They're picked to win the SEC again. They didn't run a lot of their best runners in this race, but they still have some runners who showed themselves well today. What do you think as far as the SEC strength in cross country? And we will see that strength on this course late October.
Right. As a whole, with the conference, I think their cross country programs and their distance programs, 1 through 14, 1 through 13, I guess Mississippi State, has raised up significantly in the last decade. Arkansas has always been the leader and a national leader, but now you've got some of these other teams that have come up and been national players. Ole Miss has been terrific under Coach Vanoy, and they'll be really good. Arkansas is still going to be the class of the field in the conference, and is, as much as you can be a surefire, they're a podium team at nationals. How high, you don't know, but they're, 5, 4, 3, 2. They're that good when they turn them loose. Like I said, I think it's helped that they've been pushed the last couple of years by what's happened down in Oxford, and those guys who are just what an eclectic and crazy group are. They're easy to love with Ole Miss, but Kentucky's got a group that's pretty strong, and they're much deeper in terms of quality than they have been in the past.
You mentioned that here, this course will host the National Championships 2025. You were at Stillwater just a few months ago. It was a very weird year, but they had the cross-country championships in a very dry time, and I think it was March. I don't think it was late February. It was March. So give Columbians and give people who are listening right now an idea of what to expect in a national meet and what we'll need to do well to host it well.
Well, first off, because of when it is, as I saw Coach Halter, the first thing is, how do we get nice weather, right? Late November is iffy, right? We kind of, and that's part of the reason some folks shied away from, got tired of going to Indiana State all the time, is how bad the weather was. So let's hope for that. The course itself will shine, and the facility. So every coach will want to come back here, which is the first thing. If you can satisfy the coach and the athletes, and that's what you need to take care of, great. When people come from all around the country, which is great because we're in the center of the country, so the West can fly in through Kansas City East. I think they're going to be blown away by what this is. And then you and I know everything else. It's just like a decent game day. There's great places to stay. There's great places to eat. And the course is fantastic to come watch. And so it'll be great. And you'll be surprised how many folks roll into town. It's well attended. And it's such a good group of athletes and coaches and families that come through here. That part they'll note as well. It's a quality event all around that will move in here. It'll be a great circus.
John, stay just a moment. I want to get the gun to get the race started here, and then I'll get a final word from you. So there they are off, and they're going to be running 2 loops, but the 2K loop and the 3K loop, so a bit different than the men's race. For those of you who are here as spectators, they'll do the inside loop. You haven't seen that yet. John Anderson, I'm going to let you go in a moment. Any final thoughts about this? Arkansas's women look like they kind of put the runners out there for this race.
Yeah, they're like a lot of places. They've got some super seniors, which will add to it, and they were a team that really got hurt cross-country-wise last year with the way they did things. They had the national championship meet in Fayetteville indoors, and so that's where they put their focus, and they were national champs, but then they had to go 3 days later to Stillwater with that same group and try to run again. I think they were top 10-ish, but they were much better than that, and they'll be the class of the field again in terms of the conference, and nationally I think BYU will have some runners, but they'll be a good fight, and then they'll have fresh legs, which will be great to see what they can do.
You going to see Missouri's football game tomorrow?
Giddy up. We're going to take down the chips. We're going to go see Coach Eli, and I haven't, like everybody else, I haven't been out in so long to see a football game. Hopefully I'll know how to behave still, because I'll be so excited to be out and about. This
is a very Mizzou-centric question, but this is a Mizzou meet. Did you know the athletic director that they just named at Mizzou prior to the naming?
So I look forward to meeting her. And listen, because I'm so far away and live in Connecticut, most of the interactions I have with everybody, right, I liked Mike Alden a lot and thought he did great things. And the brief time he was here, Mac Rhodes was nice enough to me, but wasn't long enough to know. I thought Jim Sturk did some really wonderful things here. So I'm kind of insulated from the day-to-day politics of what may or may not go on around here. So I've liked all those people and wish them all well. And I hope she comes in and does a bang-up job because they're in the conference and they'll have some financial advantages over other schools from being in that league that hopefully we use wisely and help grow the program and make it great for the athletes and all the Tiger fans.
5 years from now, will there be a Big 12 or a Big 8?
No. Yeah. What I'm wondering
and that's the conference you competed in when you were here.
I was Big 8. Big
right,
8. Yeah, somebody said, what do you think when Mizzou went to the SEC? I thought we should be in the Big 8. But I think by that time, depending on when OU Texas, and I'll drop my voice on this, if they take till 2025, then the conference and the whole thing doesn't look the same. If they go early, they might get into the SEC as we know it now and just expand it. But I think 5 years from now, it all looks totally different.
Always appreciate your thoughts. It's good to see you. Thank you. You got a ways to go now to catch up to these ladies, these athletes that are running right now.
And I will leave it to you and the people listening on the stream. If they don't know it, having David Lau call your meets is a treat. Yours is good. You are a match for as good as this course is.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you very much. John Anderson from ESPN. He is in town, and appreciate his thoughts. And he really is a good cross-country fan, and so I appreciate him bringing the expertise to this, and we will turn our attention now to what is happening on this course. And they pared down the roster for the Arkansas men to a half dozen that were running, and many of their other runners who have got some practice time on this course, especially yesterday. But we see that the Arkansas runners are serious about this women's race because they are en masse at the front of this, and they are coming through the first kilometer, and we'll get a split there. Let me set the scene a bit more. The Arkansas squad has a streak of championships in the SEC. Arkansas won the 2020 championships that were run in Baton Rouge with a 41-point total as a team. So Arkansas, the defending champion, actually they're the defending champion for many years. More on that in a moment. Kentucky was 4th a year ago. They returned a lot of their runners. Vanderbilt 6th and Missouri 7th. So you're seeing top half of the conference teams today at Gans Creek. And again, Arkansas with a convincing win again last year. Arkansas this year is ranked number 6 in the first poll from the national coaches, ranked number 6, just like the men of Arkansas. They're also ranked 6th in the first poll of the year. Two other squads from the SEC on the women's side, Alabama 7th, Ole Miss 15th. So those are going to be 3 teams to reckon with on the SEC side. And as we said, this year's prediction from the coaches just in the Southeastern Conference, Arkansas number 1, Kentucky is picked 4th, Missouri 7th, and Vanderbilt 9th. Those are the picks for this year. Arkansas women, they've won the SEC championship 8 years in a row. They have 21 total championships in the Southeastern Conference. The Arkansas women also have a national championship from 2019, as you heard John Anderson say just a few moments ago. Kind of a bad year last year because the way that the change in the schedule for the cross-country national meet happened right after the indoor national championship meet, just a couple of days difference. And so Arkansas, which was hosting that national indoor meet, wanted to definitely put on a good show in Fayetteville, and they did. So that kind of hampered their opportunity to repeat as national championships last year. Another one of the SEC schools that is here today, and that's Kentucky. They were a national championship in 1988. Arkansas also several runner-up positions in the national championship through the 1990s, 91, 92, 93, and 99. Nationally, they were runner-up in the national meet. Arkansas had some runners who were, again, very strong in the NCAA meet last year, led by Chrissy Gear with a 21-place finish. Logan Morris was in the top 75. Abby Gray also. So let's go back to the course and catch you up to date with what's happening as they have gone through 1,000 meters at 3:23. And the first 9 runners, make that the first 11 runners, were all Arkansas runners. 11 Razorbacks through the first kilometer with the lead, and they are getting ready to come right in front of us as they will make the big turn. This will be through 2 meters, and we've seen no changes in the team that is going to be looking to get back on the championship podium in the SEC and also in the national meet. Again, the SEC conference meet going to be here at this course October 29th. Again, Arkansas runners look like they're out for a team workout, holding together in those first several spots, and we'll get the splits to 2,000 meters. 6:44.7 combined time for Carmi Pinslew. She's one of the several freshmen on this Arkansas team. They have a terrific freshman class. 3 out of the 4 that are going to eventually be contributors on this team. According to their coach, not able to run, dealing with different injuries. Lance Harder talking about that on a video that is posted on the Arkansas website. He's great hopes for them, and Carmi Pinslew is one of those, and she is leading. This would be her first collegiate race for Arkansas out of South Africa. 2018 Youth Olympian. She is now the 4th South African to come and run for the Arkansas Razorbacks. .206 and a fraction in the 800 meters, under 1640 in the 5,000, a 417 1,500 meter runner. Carmi Prinsloo. She was leading through the 2-kilometer mark, but again, the pack is so tightly bunched there. As you look at that group of running, the Arkansas runners from Prinsloo, who split through the first 2K loop, a 6:44.7. Her teammate Megan Underwood, who was running 9th, was just a second and a 10th behind. So 9 Razorbacks in that 244 to 246 spot. Arkansas, if you were scoring team-wise, obviously running away with it, as they had the first 9 runners, so you score those 5, you know that's 15 when you're in the cross-country scoring. Vanderbilt running second through the first loop with 62, Missouri 66. This is going to be their 3-kilometer loop, and this is what the men ran earlier. In addition to Prinsloo, you'll see in that lead group Lauren Gregory. Gregory, first team all SEC. She was their leading runner on their way to that 8th consecutive conference championship, 4th on the course that covered 6,000 meters in Baton Rouge, and she was just over 20 minutes in that race. She was also on the national championship team for Arkansas 2 years ago, 72nd overall in the national meet, 5th finisher for the Razorbacks. And again, that's Lauren Gregory. Another one of the runners for the Razorbacks that you'd see in that group of 8 that are now still together past the halfway point of this race. Taylor Ewart, she's out of Beaver Creek, Ohio. She competed in the Olympic trials in the race walk, 20-kilometer race walk. Race walk 20K in 1:43. All she did last year was earn the title of the SEC Cross Country Freshman of the Year. 11 different Razorbacks have won that award over the history of Freshman of the Year awards in the SEC. She was the top freshman finisher, earned second team all SEC honors, 10th overall in Baton Rouge. They've gone through 3,000 meters, and it's a turn for a different Razorback to be at the top. Prinsloo has relinquished that spot now to Julia Patternane. Patternane, who has run a 10:16.7 through 3,000 meters. The split was 3:32. You'll see Patternane, Prinsloo, Thompson, Van Camp, Gregory, Gear, Ewart, Underwood, and Hyde, top 9, all representing Arkansas. Top non-Arkansas runner in the race is out of Vanderbilt, and that is Grace Jensen. Missouri's top runner, Michaela Reed. Riley Revord would be running right behind her teammate Reed, and they're running 10th and 11th overall. Grace Jensen, 2021 qualifier in the quarterfinals for the national championship meet in the outdoor 1,500 meters. She was all SEC second team in the cross country. She's got experience on this course. She was 14th in the Gans Classic. Vanderbilt ran in the Gans Classic last year, so for some of these racers like Grace Jensen, it is a return. Arkansas women were also here in a race previously on this course. Leaders are now in that big loop way to the far east of this course. They'll make that loop and they'll start coming back. They'll hit their 4,000 meter split off of this loop once they start heading back to the west. And they'll start to wind their way back towards the finish line. You'll be able to see them, if you can't already, as they come off of this turn through the 4,000 meters. I think the bank that is along the south, that runs horizontal on the south portion of this course, I think you can see them pretty much for the last, almost for the last 1,000 meters of their race. Those of you who have not been here yet and are listening online, we sure invite you to come to Columbia and see it. Just to note, these races originally scheduled in the Mizzou Opener to take part later in the afternoon. I think there was some fear earlier about whether it would be too hot at that time, and so they moved it up. Also knowing that the teams were going to arrive for Thursday practices here, because I think one of the most important part was, can we get some practice time in so we get familiar with this course? They did that yesterday, and they're getting a second opportunity today by moving the races to the morning. We're not having to worry about heat today, but I think they're going to be a lot drier today morning than they would be if they waited till late this afternoon, even though it is a slight rain for those who are not here but listening online. 4,000 meter splits. Lauren Gregory of Arkansas has the lead through that stretch. And again, Arkansas now with the top 8, one of the 9 from that group that had been leading and making it 9 Razorbacks in the top 9. She's dropped down a bit. Grace Jensen is now in the 9th spot. Perry Bockrath of Kentucky has now moved into 10th. Perry 44th in the SEC championship. Last year, she's a 4:45 miler, so she has that kind of speed. And she also all-conference in the steeplechase, where she finished 5th in the steeplechase. Bockrath, number 2 all-time at the University of Kentucky in the steeple. Right now, we think that we see things starting to break apart just a bit, even in that lead Arkansas group. Gregory moved up 4 spots in the 4th kilometer of the race, and she continues to move away from the rest of the field. Lauren Gregory on the turn. People on the bank on that end of the course will watch her come around that turn and head into the finish line. Gregory, a senior out of Fort Collins, first team all SEC. We told you earlier she ran just over 20 minutes on the race course in Baton Rouge last year. 4 times through her career, and of course with the COVID year gives her an opportunity to make it 5 times. Lauren Gregory, 4 years among the top 10 in the conference meet. She was the runner-up at the Gans Creek Classic last year, running 20 minutes and 6 seconds on the 6,000 meter race a year ago. Gregory on the straightaway coming towards us at the finish line now. It's a 5,000 meter course today. Many of you have run 5Ks and recreation, so you get an idea of what this means. Kind of easier to judge a 5K time than a 6K for many of us, but that is going to be Arkansas 1, 2, and 3 across the line. All right at the 17-minute mark. Here come the rest of the Razorbacks as they will take the team title with first 5 scored, giving them 15. Gregory, Thompson, Gear, Prinsloo, Underwood, the scorers. Van Camp and Patternane also in the top 7. Then it was Grace Jensen, who we talked about a few moments ago, from Vanderbilt, will be 8th in the race. Perry Bockrath of Kentucky, 9th. Then Missouri's first finisher, Michaela Reed. She'll be 10th. Taylor Ewart, another one of the Razorbacks, 11th. Isabel Christensen from Missouri, the sophomore, 12th. Caitlin Lacey of Kentucky, 13th. Mackenzie Yannick of Vanderbilt, 14th. Riley Revord, 15th. Jenna Schwartz, Revord and Schwartz, both from Missouri, and 15th and 16th. Cameron Fawcett 17th, Haley Walker 18th, Gracie Hyde of Arkansas 19th, and Allie Newman of Missouri, a freshman for the Tigers, scoring 20th in the race. Arkansas dominating. We talked about Lauren Gregory and the success she's had through her first 4 go-arounds in the SEC, finishing in the top 10, and so no signs of not being able to do another top 10 conference finish, and we'll watch for her in the Nationals also. We hadn't said much about Kennedy Thompson. She's out of Canada. She competed in the Olympic trials, and she was 5th in the Canadian Olympic trials, finished 2nd here today. She was 5th in the Olympic trials for Canada in the 1,500 meters. She ran in the NCAA championships, the 2020 championships, which were run in the spring of 2021 this year for the Razorbacks. Well, Arkansas picked to win the conference championship for the 9th year in a row. Shows the strength today at the Mizzou Opener. And also shows that they're going to be a force to reckon with all the experience they have, plus the newcomers in the national championship meet. The last kilometer for Gregory at 3:16 even. She and Kennedy Thompson, her teammate, both under 3:20 for the last kilometer. 16:54.4 the winning time today in the Mizzou Opener on the women's side through 5,000 meters. Thompson a 16:58.4. Those two under 17 minutes in the race. How do I get there like the splits? There it is. Gregory split on her way to the first place. She went 3:23 in the first 1,000, 3:22 in the second, 3:32 in the third, then back to 3:21 and a 3:16. Gregory was first after the first 1,000, dropped to 5th at 3K, and then regained the lead and didn't relinquish it for the rest of the race. Well, that's it for our first cross-country action of the season for the 4 teams that are here. We appreciate you coming. The runners from Arkansas and Kentucky and Vanderbilt. University of Missouri hopes that you've had a good experience here in Columbia over the last couple of days and wish you very good success for the rest of your cross-country season. And we'll look forward to seeing all of you back here for the October 29th SEC Championship meet. Safe travels home, fans. We appreciate you that are here at Gans Creek for this race. Hope you'll tell others about coming to Gans Creek in Columbia to be able to enjoy the races that are here. We've got 2 more races that will be hosted by the University of Missouri on this course, in addition to the SEC Championship. The last part of October, the Gans Creek Classic will occur on Friday, October 1st, right here at the Gans Creek Cross Country Course. If you're listening online, join us here for that. And if you are here and can make your way back, we'd like to welcome you back, and we'll do so at the Gans Creek Classic October the 1st. Special thanks to all of the officials also who have made the race run as smoothly as it does again. We've got a great officials association here, and so all of the officials who have made their way out here on this Friday to help us to run the meet, thank them.